everybody, and welcome back to this episode of Weekly Wrestling Recap with the Figures and Flippy Shit podcast, where we're going to look at the last week in wrestling for WWE, AEW, and NXT. Go over what happened, give our thoughts and opinions. In the comments, leave your thoughts and opinions on what you thought about the week's events. So we'll go ahead and start with WWE. The draft wrapped up on Raw. And the number one overall pick ended up being Rhea Ripley, which I think really shows how high they are on Rhea right now.
Yeah, and she went to Raw. So I guess her and Bianca's going to switch titles.
They haven't said. That's what they did with Becky and Charlotte. They just keep
talking about how, Bianca has said many times that she's the new SmackDown champion.
Yeah, I think Bianca's confused, or I don't know.
Rhea hasn't said anything, but Rhea's in a feud right now, so.
Yeah, Rhea's got Zelina Vega to worry about, which.
Yes. Then we had Austin Theory picked first for SmackDown.
Yeah. Was he picked first?
The first round of SmackDown on
Raw.
Yes, he was.
All right. So I'm thinking with Gunther and Austin Theory, they're just going to keep their titles, and those titles will just switch shows.
Probably.
Yeah.
And then Rollins was picked for Raw, and then Charlotte Flair was picked by SmackDown.
Yeah. I love how SmackDown picked Edge and Charlotte Flair, so I guess they're interested in picking people that aren't around that much.
Oh, man. And then, we'll have to go later. And then we had the second round. Raw picked KO and Sammy, Kevin Owens and Sammy.
Yeah, which means the tag titles are staying on Raw, so I wonder what they're going to do about SmackDown.
And then the Usos went to SmackDown.
Yeah, I was really hoping there would be some drama with them going to Raw, but you can't really put them on a separate brand and wrap up the Bloodline story, so it does make sense.
Yeah.
It does give a chance for Roman to lord over them a little more because they screwed up yet again.
Yes. We had the Judgment Day following Rhea to Raw, so they're going to stick together, thank God.
Yeah, that needs to be a thing.
And then SmackDown, we had everybody from the LWO going to Raw, which means that Ray is no longer going to be with Dom. So that feud
is good.
stopping.
Which is good. That feud is
I'm very
done.
much done with the deadbeat dad thing. It was cool for the first 5 years, but now
I want to see us build on that heat. I want Dom to this is going to be a little out there. I want Dom to be involved in the World Heavyweight title scene. I don't want him to win it, but I want him to be involved just enough that it makes people really angry he's there.
Oh my gosh.
Because could you imagine the heat that he could draw from that by itself?
Right? Yes.
So
our cat Lenny just knocked stuff over. We're doing this fun standing edition because week 2 I have a broken back. So yeah.
And shoulder.
But okay, third round of the draft. You can read these.
Okay, so third round, Raw selected Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. So they have the women's tag team champions. When we talk about NXT later, I have a theory as to what's going on with that. SmackDown selected Asuka, which I guess Asuka's not going back to Japan. I miss Asuka. Bring her back, please. For Raw selected the New Day, which unfortunately at this point is just Xavier Woods. Well, they said Kofi, but I'm not sure how long Kofi's out for. I know he had a pretty gnarly foot injury, but we'll see. And SmackDown's keeping the Brawling Brutes and Sheamus.
Yes.
During the picks on Raw, they did something a little fun. So they came out to do the picks, and Brock Lesnar just showed up.
Right, it was Shawn Michaels and Adam Pearce. So it made sense in story that Brock Lesnar showed up because Adam Pearce was there, and Adam Pearce is in charge of running the show. So.
Yeah, and Adam Pearce, it's funny because Adam Pearce earlier in the night had confronted Cody and Brock and was like, "Hey, I don't want any trouble tonight," and they both just laughed at him.
Yes. So what does Brock do? Just interrupt the draft when Adam Pearce is out there.
Yeah, he's a free agent. He don't give a shit.
Right. So yeah, he is a free agent. So is
Honey Brock don't give a shit.
So is Baron Corbin, he's also a free agent.
Yeah, and that was kind of explored on SmackDown because he was like, "I'm like Brock Lesnar, and nobody could decide." And Adam Pearce is like, "That's not how I remember it." So yes. I wonder what the Corbin stuff's going to pay off to. I like that he's sucking. It's funny.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I hope it's something good because Baron Corbin's really good at what he does. He doesn't get the credit he deserves for what he does.
No.
I would put Baron Corbin in the underrated category.
Well, we still have 3 more rounds to go of the draft.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because Raw's 3 goddamn hours. So There we go. 4th round. Raw picked Trish Stratus.
Which was kind of shocking because I didn't know I guess she's...
I had
you
heard...
have to be a full-time talent to get chosen for the draft or no?
I mean, Edge and Charlotte Flair aren't.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
But I've been hearing that Trish was back for like a real run. So that kind of lends credence to that theory.
Yeah.
But I wonder if she's going to work like an Edge schedule where she'll be considered full-time, but she's really not based on how much she appears on TV.
Maybe.
SmackDown took Karrion Kross and Scarlett. And we were talking about this yesterday when we watched SmackDown. Karrion Kross's entrance is one of my favorite entrances in wrestling. But I'm sorry, he does nothing for me in the ring.
Yeah.
Although his match on SmackDown with Nakamura was pretty good.
That was a decent match.
And it was a cool return to form for Shinsuke.
Yes.
Raw selected Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, which we learned yesterday during the SmackDown commercials that Ronda is doing Stars on Mars with one of your Housewives people.
Portia Williams. I hope Portia destroys Ronda Rousey. You've seen her on the Real Housewives. She can
I haven't seen
it.
much.
Like Ronda Rousey can use her fists to fight, but Portia, she can use her mouth to do just as much damage. She can be vicious.
Yeah. And I also know, I think Ronda's still hurt. I think Shayna's okay. I think I saw a report that Shayna's good to go. Yeah. They're just waiting for Ronda to be available so they can push them together. And then SmackDown took LA Knight. I love that LA Knight got a televised draft pick.
Yes.
That dude, and apparently he wasn't on the Puerto Rico SmackDown last night, but I did see a report that he had a dark match and he was very over in Puerto Rico. So now that the draft is done,
the Puerto Rico crowd itself, the Puerto Rico crowd itself was amazing during SmackDown.
Yes,
it definitely
excellent.
made the show. Which is, I'm pretty sure we said that in previous podcasts. Like, fans can literally like make or break the show.
Yeah.
And honestly, SmackDown was not that amazing. It was a good show, but I think it was made much better because the crowd was so invested. So it made me want to pay attention more.
Yeah, the crowd was on fire all night.
Yes.
They were the heat for Dominic. Oh my. Oh my.
Yes.
So that was the 4th round. The 5th round, Raw took Braun Strowman and Ricochet. Interested to see what they do. I'm glad that Braun's okay because I do know he was concussed.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh man, but it made for a funny video clip for Botchamania.
It did, and they played off of the fact of it because they went to do that spot again, and Ricochet was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" Like, yes. So it's fun. I love that when there's a mess up now, we don't sweep it under the rug. We play with it.
Yes.
Top Dollar and Michael Cole is another example of that. And apparently, I found this out. I haven't used Top Dollar in 2K23 yet, but I found out that even in the 2K23 commentary, Michael Cole makes cracks about Top Dollar going over the top rope.
Which is hilarious.
That's
that had
funny.
to be like a late add-in.
Probably.
Okay.
Or somebody edited it and I fell for something on the internet.
I mean, that is true because anything now seems real.
Yeah. SmackDown took Shotzi in the 5th round. Raw took Bronson Reed, which with Lashley going to SmackDown, that'll separate those two. So I'm interested to see Bronson Reed do other things.
Yeah.
And then SmackDown took Pretty Deadly.
I was very pumped. I was kind of bummed at the same time because the reports were that Rollins was supposed to be with Pretty Deadly, and that would just be a magical mayhem. Like, it would just be ridiculous shenanigans with also some good wrestling. Man. But at the same time, it could have been too much, all 3 of them together.
It could have been.
So,
it could have been. Especially if you're pushing Rollins for a singles run.
True.
He doesn't really need a heel posse with him.
That's
like, maybe
true.
if he was still heel, it'd make more sense.
That's very true.
I did see, though, where the Maximum Male Models said they wanted to work with Pretty Deadly. That could be pretty fun.
As long as
Pretty Deadly gets to move on from it and do more things.
Well, that, and they actually, like, just do something in general, not just sit there and pose.
Yeah.
So, the final round of the draft, though.
You can go over this one.
So, Raw chose Otis and Chad Gable, and I believe...
The Maximum Male Models are also on there. So, we're going to continue that Otis story.
Which I'm okay with. It's kind of goofy. I like goofy things. Like,
yeah. For me, it gets Chad Gable on TV for me, so I'm fine with it.
Right. SmackDown chose Rick Boogs.
Which is funny because they've been telling that story where like him and Elias were hoping to get drafted together, and Elias didn't even get drafted.
Elias was not drafted.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for the wrestlers that weren't drafted? They're just free agents and can go wherever?
Yeah. They'll go where they're needed.
I would much rather want to be a free agent if I had to choose, because there's more likelihood I'd be shown more.
Yeah, but I think at the same time I'd want to be on just one show, so that way I know what I'm working that week.
True. Well, Raw chose Katana Chance and Kim Carter from NXT.
So the NXT title match, tag team title match that was announced, both teams were going to the main roster.
And then SmackDown chose Cameron Grimes. I have a theory that Cameron Grimes is the lucky one. Baron Corbin's very unlucky right now. They had an interaction. They're either going to team those two up to get Baron Corbin lucky again, or Cameron Grimes is going to become unlucky. Like, those two are going to intermingle somehow.
Okay.
That's my view on that. I don't really know much about Cameron Grimes, though, honestly.
When we were watching Black and Gold NXT, he was starting to come in. We've seen him live.
Yes. I know him. I just don't know much about him. So
yeah, I don't know much about where his character is now. But one thing that I think is interesting with the NXT tag titles is my theory. I can go ahead and go over this because Caden Carter and Katana Chance are on. Did they go to Raw or SmackDown?
They went to Raw.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and spoil it because I'm gonna get my theory out of the way.
Okay.
Isla Dawn and Alba Fire retain the titles on NXT. So what I'm thinking is gonna happen is all the NXT tag titles or all the NXT women's tag teams are gone. They were either broken up or pushed to the main roster. So what I'm thinking is gonna happen is the NXT women's tag titles are gonna become the SmackDown women's tag titles, and NXT is gonna introduce a women's mid-card belt.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
NXT does a heck of a lot better showcasing the woman talent than the main roster does. So, I mean, that would make sense for them to get that
I think they
title.
could do what AEW does with the TBS title, only 10 times better.
Oh, my God. Yeah, the TBS title needs work.
Yeah. And I think it's an easy solution. The NXT Women's United States Champion.
Yeah.
There you go.
I agree.
Yeah. So that was the draft.
Yes.
So we'll see how that plays out. The rosters officially start Monday. So we'll see what stories are cooking and see what goes from there.
Yes. So I think we should talk about the Bloodline next, because they always have shit happening.
Yeah, there's always shit going down with Bloodline.
So this week on Raw, Heyman comes out and he comes out to the ring and he does his
Paul Heyman
thing, and he mentions, pretty much calls out Seth Rollins. He talks about the Joker and everything else. A clown. So Rollins comes out, he does his music thing with the fans, and he does his Rollins thing. And then Rollins is trashing the Bloodline, and he threatens to curb stomp Heyman. And Heyman, of course, is being super dramatic about it, pleading, like begging. Solo comes out, and then a match is made for them. So, yes. So, but Seth is kind of getting intermingled in here a little bit, and
which is interesting because the Bloodline's going over to SmackDown.
It is, and at one point during the draft, Heyman came out, and he stared down that new World Championship belt. Oh, that was on his way down there to the ring. He stared on that belt
because Triple H asked him what he thought of it.
Yes, and that kind of led to Seth Rollins.
Yeah. Well, Heyman was teasing. He was like, imagine if Roman Reigns won this title too. And you could feel everyone in the world go, no, God, please.
I was just like, this is
But
terrible.
then Heyman clarified Roman can't compete for it because he's on SmackDown.
Yes. So it was a fun little interaction, though. The next little Bloodline thing was, so we're including, like, I don't know if I said this right, we're including Matt Riddle, KO, and Sammy in here as well.
Do we want to talk about,
kind of intermingled.
Do we want to go ahead and talk about what happened with the Seth and Solo match?
We can. It was just that...
It was a good match. Solo lost by disqualification because the Usos came in. And once we wrap up with what happened with the Bloodline, I'm going to talk about how I think that might be significant.
Yes. So we had Matt Riddle. So Riddle beats Jimmy. And then Sammy and KO, they did this weird fake... Oh, yes. I remember this now. It's been almost a week ago. I'm forgetting. But, yeah. So Riddle and Jimmy, so they had this match. And then on the outside was KO and Sammy, but they weren't in the match.
No.
But they did this funny chair spot, which was a callback to Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah.
Where KO fell on the ground. Sammy hit a chair off of the announce desk and threw it at Jay. Mm-hmm. And Jay was like, he just looked so confused. And then it hit him, it like dawned on him what they were doing. And he was like, oh, come on. And like, but he got booted from the match. He had to leave. Mm-hmm. So I just thought that was funny.
It was funny how it went down.
Yes.
Because Sammy just did, like, the way he did it, like, he knew what he was doing. He just went, clunk.
Yes. And Jay just took it, like, what are you doing? And then...
And what was funny was, like, the first, like, 10 to 15 seconds, Jay looked like he had no idea what was going on. Like,
yes.
He
was looking from the ref to them to, like, everyone. He was like, what?
Jay Uso's acting through this whole bloodline thing has been stellar.
Yes. Yes. Well...
And his facial expressions kill me.
Well, speaking of Jay, he then goes backstage. Mm-hmm. And he's questioning Solo. Mm-hmm. Why weren't you ringside? Mm-hmm. Why weren't you helping us? Like, where were you? Mm-hmm. And, but Jay wanted to talk to Solo, and Heyman wouldn't let him. Mm-hmm. He would not let them have time alone. Yeah. So the Usos are kind of like just being ousted more and more, and Solo's clearly picking a side. Mm-hmm. So it just kind of continues with the bloodline. Yeah.
And I completely feel like tonight at Backlash, we're going to see the Usos get executed.
I know.
I feel like they're going to lose that match, and Solo's just going to take them out.
Yes. Did anything happen with them on SmackDown? I don't think there was anything.
They had a backstage segment where, like, Solo was taping up his hand and stuff, and the Usos were like, yeah, we have a big match tomorrow. You know, we're going to win. And Jay was kind of hinting that Solo wasn't invested because he didn't help them in the match. And Solo spoke, which is pretty rare.
Yes.
And Solo told him, he said, you know, I just hope you two do your part. And it's definitely feeling like Solo's going to turn on them soon.
Yes. Like, oh, man.
And Roman's going to kind of ride with Solo for a little bit.
Oh, yes. Yes. But I honestly, I would love it if, in some way, shape, or form, Solo is able to prove before they kind of split up that he is better than Roman in some way. Not really like beating him, but like proving like you would not be here without me. Because that's very true. Yeah. Like if Solo wasn't there for so many matches, Roman would not be the champ right now.
And there's a lot of directions you could take that would be interesting. Like imagine if we did build up to a Roman versus Solo match. Imagine the Usos come out and try to win favor with Roman by screwing over Solo. That's an avenue you could go. Yes. Imagine the Usos come back, Roman looks to them for help, and they just leave, and Solo wins. That's an interesting projection.
It is,
like there's like the bloodline has so many places you could branch off to, and there's going to be so many instances of just taking one section of the story and saying, what if this went down differently? Yeah. That to me is a sign of a great story.
Yes. Yeah. Very excellent long-term booking, because for somebody like me who does not have that great of an attention span, it kept me... there are times here that it's like, oh my God, it's kind of dragging on. I think I'm ready for the Bloodline story to kind of be moved on, and I think we are getting that with the draft split and like... I'm thinking
by SummerSlam, the Bloodline will be broken up, but I'm still not sure that Roman's not champ still till WrestleMania 40.
It's not that I want the bloodline to break up. I want this storyline to kind of end and go to a new one. Yeah. So I'm fine with the bloodline. I think it's just this storyline.
I want to see Roman lose his titles and go full Mad King. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. Well, anything else about the bloodline that you want to note?
No, there's nothing really I can think of, but I think, I alluded to this and I never said, I think the fact that Solo lost that match by disqualification, I feel like Roman's going to be like, you know, when Solo helps, we win. When you help, Solo lost. Yeah. So you're not even doing that right.
It could very well, yeah. So yeah, I'm interested to see where that goes. But yeah.
And it's interesting because like when you look at the Usos and you see how they're responding to all this, it's like Jimmy just kind of brushes it off, like Jimmy thinks he's all right. And Jay's the one that's picking up on all these things. And he's like, something's not adding up.
Right, and he's the one that's had Sammy in his ear
Yeah,
most,
and he's
too.
the one that was the last Uso to get one over.
Yes.
So, this character arc for Jay is extremely consistent, which is saying something for it being over a year.
Yes.
But it's very consistent.
Yes. Well, let's shift. I wanted to note Damage Control. They didn't do anything really... Well, so... I guess... So they had a match against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, who they are the current Raw or SmackDown? Or just in general?
Just general.
Okay, they're the Raw... they're the Women's Tag Team Champs.
There you go.
And, it wasn't a tag... It wasn't, like, a match for the title. And Damage Control won. And I don't know how I feel about that. That's why I want to bring it up. Because, yes, I'm happy that Damage Control is finally winning. But... the damage has already been done. I don't take them as a threat. I
think it's kind of that last... and this is going to go really dark, but know how when somebody passes away, they have that last stretch where they have like a good day or two, and then they immediately plummet downhill and they're usually gone within a few days. I think Damage Control winning that match is that stage for them.
Maybe, because, they kind of keep hinting at, like, somebody turning on somebody. Like, this past week, they kind of hinted that, like, it was going to be Io Sky that turned. Because Dakota Kai and Bayley weren't really doing anything to help her. And then the other times, it's like, Bayley's going to turn because she wants that spotlight and they're holding her back. So, I don't know. Like, I think we're leading to... It might be a good breakup. Better than them actually, their story together. But, I don't know. I am just ready for them to be separated, though.
Yeah, but they're all going to the same brand. They're all going to SmackDown, which worries me because they're all still there with Bianca, and I feel like Bianca's been feuding with Damage Control since before I had a beard. It hasn't been that long, but
it has been a while. So we'll have to see where that goes, though.
Yeah, I would agree.
Well, the next thing that we could talk about is the Judgment Day and LWO.
Yeah, we could talk about them.
Okay.
So with the Judgment Day and the LWO. How fun is it to boo Dom live?
It is so fun.
It's almost worth the price of admission itself.
I wouldn't go that far, but...
I said almost.
Yes.
And Puerto Rico definitely was all over that.
Yes.
I guess one of the things they were chanting, I found out later in a comment, I'm not sure if this is true or not, but one of the things they were chanting was Spanish for dick sniffer at Dom.
What?
And apparently in Spanish... Bad Bunny called Damian Priest a cocksucker during the press conference.
That is awesome. See, I kind of figured they were doing some more vulgar stuff because how the crowd was responding. So, and I was like, oh my God, I want to know what they're saying so bad.
And one of my favorite things about whenever people start booing Dom as loud as they do, Finn Balor always gets a kick out of it.
He does. On Raw, Finn said this funny thing about what Rhea Ripley was going to do to Zelina Vega at Backlash. And he said... that Rhea is going to roll Zelina up like a hot snot and flick her.
Yeah. I don't even know what that means.
Roll her up like a hot snot and flick her. I don't know. I thought that was so funny. And in his accent, it was just beautiful.
Yeah. And then Dominic would come in and he was trying to say, I can't wait for Damian Priest to beat Bad Bunny, but it literally took him a minute or two to get that sentence out.
It did. Yes.
And the crowds of it, do you feel like the crowds have gotten louder with their booing too?
I think so, because I think it's kind of become like the thing. Like, let's make it to where Dominic can't say anything.
Would you say, for what we watch between WWE, AEW, and NXT, would you say that Dom is the biggest heel that we see on TV each week?
I would say so, yeah.
I would say he's an even bigger heel than MJF.
Reaction-wise, yes, but antics-wise, no.
No. But as far as crowd reaction, I think Dominic is king shit right now.
I would agree. Yes, I would definitely agree with that.
And you can tell, you could just tell he's having fun with it as well. And he does good. Like, once he starts cutting his promo, it doesn't seem to affect him.
No.
He's able to push through it pretty good. So, I don't know who's worked with Dom on his promo game, but they've done great.
I don't know. Well, speaking of promos, though, Cody Rhodes.
Oh, Cody Rhodes.
Yes.
Cody cut a fire promo on SmackDown on Brock Lesnar. Cody's kind of been on fire since he got back to WWE, though. He hasn't really missed.
The crowd wasn't for him at first on SmackDown. They wanted Brock Lesnar, so he kind of had... And I kind of worried because when that happens, Cody Rhodes falls. He does not do well when fans aren't, like, adoring him.
He won him over pretty quickly, though.
I know, but I'm just saying, it kind of made me nervous at first because Cody Rhodes does not do well under that. That's the whole downfall of AEW, basically. So,
and I don't think it's necessarily that they didn't want Cody. I think they wanted Lesnar to come out and have a fight segment.
Which is fine, but I'm just pointing out that Cody typically does not do well if he's not perceived the way he wants to be perceived. He's kind of like a Tony Khan. He doesn't know how to kind of like
pivot,
yeah. But I mean, it was a good promo.
Yeah, and I'm ready for their match. Unfortunately, as much as I love Cody Rhodes, I think Cody Rhodes is going to get absolutely trucked. I wouldn't be surprised if it ended up being a squash.
I would kind of like the story because my whole beef with Cody Rhodes was I was worried he was just going to come in and just take over, and it's like, how is that fair? That was my whole issue with Cody Rhodes. I just didn't feel like it was fair for him to come in and take everything from people that had been there working their ass off, just couldn't get it because Roman's had everything forever. That was my biggest beef with him. But if they're going to do a storyline where he just keeps failing and he has to build himself back up, I'm okay with that. Because his thing right now is that finishing the story and everything else. So why not just make his story take a little bit longer to where he deserves it?
See, I feel like if WWE didn't exist in its own little bubble and we allowed other promotions to be recognized, that story's already been told. Cody left WWE, went to the Indies, built himself back up, and then came back.
But not in WWE land. In WWE land, to WWE is all that matters.
In WWE land, Cody took a 6-year nap and came back.
Basically. Yeah.
So I think Cody's already told that story in real life. And I think, I don't know.
Yeah, but how many WWE fans really focus a lot on real life? It's a very surface value company. That's how Vince McMahon wasn't booed out of the stage.
That's true.
So they're very much like, what we see is all we know.
Yeah.
Like, perfect example, a couple years ago when Rey Mysterio came back. And they said he came out of, or the fans were like, you still got it. And it's like, mofos, he was wrestling in the indies this whole damn time.
Yeah, we saw him at All In.
So, like, they're very surface value. Like, if they don't see it on WWE, it just doesn't exist.
Fair enough.
So, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I'll give you that point.
Yes.
I'll give you that point. Your Vince and Rey Mysterio argument sold it for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there anything else though on like the main roster of WWE that you want to talk about?
I mean,
because a lot of it was just the bloodline and draft stuff.
Yeah, and we have Backlash tonight, which we'll be doing a live stream for. We'll do our predictions for Backlash at the end of this video. Or do you want to do it like we did last time on the live stream where we just...
Let's just do it on the live stream because we don't even have the list written down the matches.
That's fine. I think I know them all, but that's fine.
Well, let's go to NXT then.
Yeah, we can travel over to NXT.
Okay. Well, first we had Wesley's match against...
Dude, Wesley...
against Drew Gulak.
Yeah, Wesley grows on me more and more every week. I really enjoy watching Wesley go to work.
Well, he retained his title. It was a good match, though.
I have no idea at this point who's going to dethrone him. The only thing I can think of is a heel Dragon Lee. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah. Well, the only other title match I believe that was on NXT was the women's tag team titles. Titles. Oh my gosh, I'm struggling today. And it was Alba Fyre and Isla Dawn, who are the current NXT Women's Tag Team Champions, versus Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. And this one was weird because, like, obviously, whoever won this title was going to take it to that main roster show. So, Alba Fyre and Isla Dawn retained, and they're on SmackDown, so it's going to SmackDown with them. Yeah. Which is where my theory comes in. Yes. That the NXT Women's Tag Titles are going to become the SmackDown Women's Tag Titles, or they're going to unify them. They could do that. Yeah. And then I think NXT, because all the women that are left there are singles, Toxic Attraction, broken up. Sol Ruka and Danny Palmer were supposed to be a team. Sol Ruka had an ACL surgery. She's out for a while. Oh, no. I didn't know she was actually hurt. Yeah. Oh, no.
Kaden Carter, Katana Chance drafted. Isla Dawn and Alba Fyre drafted. Tatum Paxley and Ivy Nile broken up. Kiana James and Fallon Henley broken up.
Yeah.
So I really feel like they're gonna introduce a women's mid-card title. I
might.
really feel like that's coming.
They might.
And they need it because they have a lot of women that are pretty good that there's just not room in the title picture for. So I think this is a great opportunity to produce a mid-card belt. Yeah. And I think NXT's booking of the women is strong enough to support that title.
I don't watch Impact, but I know that their women's division is supposed to be amazing. But I feel like NXT have a pretty good women's division. Maybe they're a little bit more green, but
that's
still good.
That's the design of NXT at this point.
Yeah. So it's a very good women's division, I think.
Yeah.
So, we got to see Axiom versus Scripps, and I was impressed by Scripps. Because I really only know him as Reggie, or whatever his name was, Reginald, or what was his name?
It was both.
Okay.
He's been both. I think in the game he's Reggie, but when we were watching, he was with Carmella, he was Reginald.
Yes. So I really only know him as that, and like, I'm having a hard time taking him seriously, and the mask isn't helping. The mask is not that good.
Well, Axiom did you a favor.
Because
at the end of the match, Axiom just ripped the mask off.
I wasn't in the room.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, that's
because you were like, did we see his face? And I was like, you know what he looks like. You already know this.
I just have this is probably so disrespectful, but I just have this obsession of knowing what people look like under their mask. I know that's disrespectful to like lucha wrestlers. I cannot help it. I think it's the social work in me. I have this need where like I have to understand everything about every situation, and I can't understand them if I don't know what they look like.
Ah, okay.
So I know that might not make sense to anybody, but in my Susan logic, I have to know what they look like. And I know that's disrespectful though, isn't it?
I don't know if it's disrespectful. I mean, you're not going out and trying to rip their mask off.
No, I literally just Google them.
Yeah. Yeah, you have done that.
Yes.
You have done that.
But
and there's a lot out there to pick from of masked people that you want to know what they look like, because you've got the Lucha Brothers. Bandito, Evil Uno. Like, you have all these.
Yeah.
The only one that you know is Rey Mysterio, but Rey Mysterio's is a 25-year-old picture.
No, there's isn't it Serpentico? Wrestles with a mask and then without a mask.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Which I've yet to see what he looks like without a mask, which is tragic because he's been wrestling without a mask now for a couple months, right?
I'm not sure.
Ring of Honor, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if he's wrestled without the mask the whole time that Ring of Honor's been going or not. I don't know.
Yeah. I really want to know what... I can't think of he was on Dark. He was never really on he'd just be a jobber if he was on AEW Dynamite or Rampage, but he'd be on Dark and Dark Elevation. He was in Ethan Page's videos. He was really he'd always talk about how much money he had. What was his name?
I don't know.
He was in Sammy Guevara's wedding. Oh, I can't think of his name. I really want to know what he looks like because he just looks like he'd be a cocky SOB with the mask and the way he talks and stuff.
I'm not sure who you're talking about.
You know this guy. We like him. I just don't know what the fuck his name is. It's
what's
pissing me off.
His mask look like?
I don't even know. He's been injured forever.
Oh, Fuego del Sol?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I want to know what he looks like without a mask on.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yes.
I don't know how I all of a sudden remembered Fuego del Sol.
I don't know.
Because you said he's been injured.
Yes.
Yeah, that's probably what it was.
I was really getting angry too because I did not know what his name was.
Is that who you were thinking of, Fuego del Sol?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Well, we had JC Jane and Gigi are still continuing, which I'm kind of glad that they're continuing their feud because the last match they had, I know somebody got injured, right? But it wasn't a very good finish to how powerful it was. And then again, JC Jane got her face busted or her head busted in this match. So I think it had to end quicker than it needed to.
Yeah, she did a Britt Baker impression.
So it's and honestly, I feel like if we weren't in WWE, the matches could have continued because the women bleed just as bad in AEW and the matches continue.
Yeah.
So either AEW is just not safe at all, which could be the case, I don't know, or they won't let the women bleed because it's the PG area and people can't bleed, I guess. Ow!
I mean, it might.
I got so mad I hit the thing behind me.
I mean, a lot of the times I think this is up to In WWE, not so much because they want to get the blood off the screen because they're a PG product.
Yeah.
And I think in AEW, a lot of it comes down to it's the talent's choice, which is why when Matt Hardy got concussed in that one match against Sammy Guevara, AEW got heat because Matt Hardy wanted to keep going and they didn't make him stop.
His wife was pissed too about that. So,
yeah.
But either way, I love bloody women's matches. I wish it could have continued because as soon as I saw the blood on her face, I was like, this is great.
It added to it, I think.
It absolutely does. Blood adds to things, in my opinion. Not an excessive amount. Moxley, I think, does it way too much.
I knew you were going to call out John Moxley. Well, I think when this Wednesday for Dynamite for his cage match with Kenny, he's going to bleed within the first minute.
We're going to need like a blood transfusion for him.
Probably.
But
you know what? If it makes him happy, though, good for him. I'm just glad he's happy with what he does.
Well, back to JC Jane, though. I do wish that the match would have continued, but she could have actually been really hurt. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just wish it could have continued if she wasn't hurt. If you just stopped it because there was some blood, it's just blood. Like, if she's okay, kids should not be traumatized over blood. And honestly, it's after 8 o'clock. It's on the parents. If their kids are still up watching this, that's on you. We've had many foster children. Well, we've had a few foster children. If we left a kid up to watch that, that's on us if they got upset about it. Like, that's just how it is.
I remember
let me see my damn blood and blame the parents if they don't put the
I remember as a kid watching WCW, if I saw blood in wrestling, my response was, oh, cool. Like,
yeah, but now everybody's so upset about everything. But yes. But anyway, that was my little thing about them. I just wanted them to continue the match even if there's blood.
Okay.
Because they're never going to get this match done to what they want it to be if they can't continue the match after they get hurt.
This is true.
So, because their whole thing is that there's so much hatred. Like they just want to murder each other, but they can't get past it because they keep bleeding. But that's the thing. You want it to be intense. That makes it more realistic.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that.
So, but yeah, that's my beef.
So,
JD McDonough and Dragon Lee.
Yeah, JD McDonough's farewell match for NXT was a freaking banger.
It was.
It was good stuff.
Yes. It was a very good match.
And JD McDonough's going to Raw. I know they're both heels, but at some point, please let JD McDonough feud with Gunther. Please.
Or just have some interaction with Finn Balor since Finn Balor trained him. He's literally Finn Balor's freaking twin.
Not so much anymore since he's grown his hair out. Now you can distinguish them a little more.
I used to think they were brothers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Balor trained him.
I know.
It's crazy. Like, if you look at Finn Balor, Balor trained JD McDonough. Balor helped train Becky Lynch. Balor started the Bullet Club. Balor is so influential in wrestling.
He is.
And you don't realize it until you break it down and look at it.
Yeah.
Because apparently, I found this out the other day, apparently Finn Balor had some hand in Jay White getting in New Japan. I had no idea. So Finn Balor's just like quiet, but it makes sense.
Jack of all trades.
But it makes sense because it seems like everybody in the world's friends with Finn Balor.
I would be friends with Finn Balor in a heartbeat, even during his awkward Finn freeze moments, or freeze Finn or whatever, where he just smile everywhere.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's a great match. Go check it out. JD McDonough and Dragon Lee tore the house down. They did.
Well, I want to talk about how there might be some drama in Chase U soon.
Yeah.
So Andre Chase was really upset, and he literally canceled their
class. And Thea Hale freaked out.
Of course, Thea Hale freaks out. She needs something. But something to calm her down. There's many things in life that can do this. She needs to do one of them.
She's just really passionate about her school.
She needs to take something to calm down. Too much. But Duke Hudson was like, no, we're not going to cancel class. We can do this. And he gets up in the front of the class, and he gets a little power hungry, man. It ends up him fast, like him.
He ends the pop quizzes.
Daydreaming. Yes. He got rid of pop quizzes. He ends up daydreaming like Duke University. That has a good ring to it. There's already Duke University, but anyway. But he just
I feel like there's a lawyer at Duke University on standby right now.
Yes. But he just kind of got a little power hungry.
So it's interesting because it's interesting because they built up the story the whole time that Duke Hudson was going to turn on Chase U.
Yeah.
But now it seems that we've moved in a different direction where Duke Hudson might overtake Chase U.
Right.
Which is interesting.
Yes, it is.
It's interesting. This is why I love NXT, because they do this shit. It's crazy. Like, I don't know that Chase U would ever work on the main roster, but I get a hell of a lot of enjoyment out of it in the NXT world.
It kind of fits in NXT because it started at a university, so they kind of incorporate like a student section into it. And so, I don't know, I like it.
Yeah. And then NXT ended. Indy Hartwell is going to relinquish the NXT. Well, she has. She relinquished the NXT Women's title, which made sense. She's hurt. She got drafted. Makes all the sense in the world.
But compared to all the others who didn't have to relinquish their titles.
Yeah. But, I mean, at least she was injured.
True.
Like, if she wasn't injured, there might have been a different plan.
That's true.
But, because, like, otherwise, if somebody else was going to take the title off of her, when she got injured at Spring Breakin', it would have made sense to just crown that person then, assuming it was one of them in the match.
Yeah.
And just have Indy not go back out there. But they obviously had a plan.
Yeah.
And I think her getting drafted and injured was just kind of a perfect storm of, you know, I kind of wonder if she was drafted because she was injured. And they were like, this will give her a chance to rest. We could take her off TV. She can rest, get built back up. We could do a vignette for her when she's ready to come to the main roster. And then she's ready to go.
I feel like she's going to get together with, like, Dexter Lumis again.
Yeah.
Maybe with John Gargano.
Yeah, the way is all on Raw.
So, yeah.
And,
yes.
And I like how the segment ended because Indy left the title in the ring and she was trying to figure out how she was going to get out of the ring. Out from under the ring slides Dexter Lumis. I wonder how long he was under there.
Such a creepy mofo.
And he picked her up and he carried her to the back. So then we get a shot of the title. Hand comes down, picks it up. It's Tiffany Stratton, which would be a good choice for champion.
Yeah.
And then there was a brawl with all the women. Where they were fighting over that title that was just there.
Person missing was Roxanne Perez. She was not out there.
Was she not out there at all?
I looked for her. Someone correct me if she was, but I did not see Roxanne Perez out there.
And she wasn't mentioned on commentary.
No.
But of course, you know, if she was mentioned on commentary, Booker T wouldn't have caught it because he was ordering chicken
Booker
parm.
T, literally, Indy Hartwell was doing this cute little farewell to NXT. She was getting emotional. Booker T, who trained her? He trained Indy Hartwell.
Did he? I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah. He's freaking ordering food. From the announce table.
Yeah.
Ordering food.
It was chicken parm from TGI Fridays. He confirmed it.
And he was like, well, I was done. And it's like, but you really weren't. You were still caught doing this. You were still out there at ringside. You really weren't done yet. And like I said, you trained her. You had all this love and respect for Roxanne Perez. Indy Hartwell, you order food from TGI Fridays.
Yeah.
So, but whatever.
Yeah.
Booker T.
Man, it must be nice to have Booker T's money to not only order TGI Fridays, but have it delivered too. Because TGI Fridays is expensive.
Is it?
Yeah. So that was NXT. NXT is definitely setting itself up for the future. It'll be fun to see them replenish the spots that have been lost due to, excuse me, some of the other people being drafted. I can't wait to see what Grayson Waller does on SmackDown. I hope they have good plans for him.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed how they kind of did his announcement for the main roster. I feel like they could have switched Pretty Deadly and Grayson Waller so that he was announced he was going to the main roster.
Unless that's going to be one of his grinds when he gets there.
That's true, because his whole thing was he's not respected on NXT.
Yeah. And he could do the whole thing where he's like, and it continues here, and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. I didn't think about that. I was just like, Grayson Waller is too good to not have been on that draft list on televised.
Yeah, because he was one that was rumored forever that was going.
Yes. So, as I say, what do I know?
Well, we'll see how it plays out.
What do I know?
We'll see what it does for Grayson Waller. If he just shows up and he's a low-level talent and doesn't really get a lot of shine, then we'll know that it was done that way. If he comes in and he makes a big splash and he starts complaining that he wasn't a featured draft pick, then we'll know it was story-based.
True. We want to head into AEW now?
Yeah, let's go into AEW. For AEW, let's start with the world title picture. So we had our tag match of MJF and Sammy Guevara against Jungle Boy and Darby Allin. If Jungle Boy and Darby Allin win, they get inserted into the main event. It becomes Fatal 4-Way.
We have MJF Sammy stuff going on.
Which that seems like it's done now.
Yes, because after Ty Mello said, like, after she said her part to Sammy started thinking about it, and then I think it was Renee Paquette or Lexi, one of the people backstage, asked him, MJF just left you. Like, how do you feel? But then MJF was like, oh, I just love you. I had to lay down. And like all this other stuff. So like, they kind of seemed like they made up at that point, right? They hugged again. But you could kind of tell and see, like, just the way Sammy was acting, he wasn't 100% convinced, like, on MJF's
Which I would
side.
hope not. I don't know how, like, in a kayfabe sense that you could work with MJF and trust anything he says.
Right.
And that came up later. Because MJF went into Jungle Boy's dressing room and was trying to pitch Jungle Boy, and Jungle Boy pretty much told him to go pound sand.
Yes.
And then Darby Allin walked in as MJF was leaving, and MJF's like, I think you need to talk to your partner. And Darby bought it, and I was like, Darby, how long have you known this guy? Like,
you know he's so manipulative. But...
Yeah, like, why would you buy into that, Darby? But then commentary kind of explained that because they said that Darby's always kind of had trust issues. So I guess commentary kind of did further explain that a little more.
I mean, if MJF is a manipulator, so he would know in kayfabe know what to say to somebody, but
yeah, because he didn't outright confirm anything. He was just like, I think you need to talk to Jungle Boy.
Yeah, but I mean, the match itself was a good match.
It was fun.
It was
I like
fun
these
match.
4 guys.
Yes, so but of course it's going to be the 4-way.
Yeah, and MJF lost his shit.
Yes, of course, in typical MJF fashion, he threw a little tantrum backstage and.
Yeah, and I think the friendship's done because Sammy's the one that got pinned.
Yes.
So I think it's done there. Of course, when Darby Allin hit the coffin drop on Sammy Guevara, Jungle Boy had Sammy Guevara in a pin, didn't realize that he wasn't legal anymore.
Yeah.
And Jungle Boy about got wasted by the coffin drop too.
Yes, he did, which then they started arguing. So,
yeah. So I'm expecting this Fatal 4-Way to be pretty good. Pretty good.
It'll be amazing.
And I'm really glad that these young guys are getting the showcase because they're all under 30 except Darby, who just turned 30. And they're in the world title feud at their version of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I think that they really needed to send that message that they still appreciate the younger guys that got them there. Because with all the major signings they had and everything, a lot of those guys were getting lost for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that we're kind of putting the focus back on them.
Because they are what made AEW great when I first started.
Yeah, that's what gave it that sense of differentness. These were people we hadn't seen before.
Yeah.
That didn't have mainstream exposure. So
it was I'm happy with the 4 pillars stuff.
Yeah.
We had a Wardlow match where he beat a jobber.
That happens a lot.
It does.
But it was an angle match.
Christian and Luchasaurus came out, and Wardlow was calling Luchasaurus, and Christian was like, "Oh no, I'm your opponent," and I was like, "I didn't see that coming, but okay."
Yeah, and I just if Christian Cage is on my TV, I'm tuned in.
Right, I don't want him to win by any means because it goes back to my Legends not getting a shine, but
and the TNT title getting hot potatoed.
Yes. But I mean, that could be interesting. Luchasaurus at his side. We know, I'm pretty sure the ultimate end game is Luchasaurus against Wardlow, which I think is going to be a really good match.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we had...
I think what you could do, honestly, this is way out there, but what I think you could do is I think you could have Christian Cage win the TNT title. Not now, maybe later. Let Wardlow have it for a little bit. And then you have Luchasaurus take the All-Atlantic title from Orange Cassidy and merge those titles together because I don't know that you need both.
You're all about deleting a title.
If the title is unnecessary, it needs to go.
See, I'm more of the thing of like, why do we have to get rid of something? Why can't we just make it better? That's my philosophy. But anyway, because actually, I can tell you why I'm like that. Because it's giving more wrestlers opportunities. I don't want to take an opportunity from wrestlers. Let's just make that opportunity better.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Well, we had Jade Cargill.
Yeah.
Jobbing. Or not jobbing. She beat a jobber.
On Rampage, yeah.
In like 5 seconds. And it was like... Like, it was so fast. I'm pretty sure I missed the whole match because I was taking notes of who was in the match.
And there wasn't even like an angle out of it. Like,
no.
Excuse me.
They said
Taya Valkyrie was suspended because she attacked Aubrey Edwards.
Right.
So she didn't come out.
I thought she might run in at the end or something, but no. It was just a 5-second match. And it's like, you gotta stop doing this.
Yeah. We've got to give Jade Cargill more. If you want her to feel like a big deal, you've got to do more.
You're not.
And I understand you're taking the Goldberg approach, and Goldberg did beat a lot of jobbers on the way to his streak, but Goldberg was a lot more electric than Jade Cargill is in the ring.
Yeah.
Like Goldberg, like it was exciting because it was spear, jackhammer, big impact moves. Jade does like her big boot, and then the Jaded's fine, but it doesn't pack that power that like the spear and the jackhammer did. So I think it's apples and oranges here.
Really? I feel like it's a pretty brutal thing. Like she literally smashes their face into the mat.
Yeah, but you've never watched a 1997, 1998 prime Goldberg spear.
I'm okay not watching a Goldberg match. Thank you very much.
Oh, man, the ones in WCW though were classics.
And that's great. Good for him. I will not watch it.
Okay. Then you won't be able to.
He is somebody that I find so boring. It's a fucking snooze fest for me.
Mm-hmm. You had to be there.
I must have. Him walking out is boring. Let's get it done already. Get to the GD ring. And then his wrestling. It's like, I get it. You're going to spear them. You're going to be this great heroic person. Oh, boring.
Oh man, doing late 90s Goldberg dirty.
But see, I know I'm going to get hated for this. I cannot like that era because the women were treated like shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I told you, you probably wouldn't mind WCW because they just weren't even featured. So you didn't even have to worry about it.
Women just weren't even around then.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, God. I mean, I guess they had voting rights. They didn't have to wrestle.
Anyway.
Well, let's go to Jericho Appreciation Society, Adam Cole, Outcast, all that stuff. So let's talk about them next.
The 8-man tag match they had on Dynamite was really fun. With Adam Cole, Roddy Strong. Roddy Strong hasn't missed a step, by the way.
No.
That dude is still fantastic. Bandito and Orange Cassidy against, I think it was Hager, Garcia, Menard, and Parker, I believe. Yeah, it'd have to be because Jericho and Sammy were doing other things.
Yeah.
But what was funny was after the match, of course, the good guy team won. I'm not going to go through all 4 of them again, but they won. Adam Cole straight booked it to commentary where Jericho was and attacked him. And of course, Jericho turned the drama dial up to 11 and was like, he's a menace! Make it bleed!
Right?
And then later, we get a segment on Rampage.
Well, Britt Baker goes up to him too, and he's like, she goes up to Jericho too, and like,
she slaps him.
He falls on the ground. He's super dramatic about it.
Yeah.
Don't mind me, I'm just choking.
And then he started yelling, she's a menace! Like,
yes. So and then on Rampage, though, we have him.
Mm-hmm.
He refuses to come out on commentary.
Yeah.
Because he says that Adam Cole did him dirty. Whenever Lexi is like interviewing him, what is it he says? At one point in time, he's like, what is it? I wrote it down because it was just very funny to me.
He said that he apologized that he wasn't able to fulfill his commentary duties. He said that he was trying to put assurances in place that him and Adam Cole won't be in the same building, which I think some people took it as a rib on the CM Punk thing, where everybody keeps saying that people don't want to be in the same building as CM Punk. So a lot of people thought it might have been a reference to that.
I mean, it is a very rib-worthy thing. Like, come on.
And then right before he closes the door, he just says, "Thank you for believing in me." Like completely straight face.
Thank you for believing in me. He shuts the door, and then you hear him yell behind it, "Lock the door!
Yeah.
Lock the door!" And it's like, oh my God. Like, I get people get annoyed with Jericho, but how can you not find him to be hilarious?
This is my favorite version of Jericho, when he gets whiny and he gets like, that's my favorite version of Jericho.
He goes like off the wall a little bit, and he does like
I call it, my favorite version of Jericho is toddler Jericho. I love it so much.
I thought it was so funny. Thank you for believing in me.
Like one of the things that cracked me up in early AEW was whenever like he was getting kicked out of the building and he's just holding up this ticket. He just keeps yelling, "I have a ticket!" Like that Jericho cracks me up. Like when he's whiny, entitled. Like that's my favorite version of Jericho.
I would agree with that. Yes, I find it because it's just so funny. Like I don't know, I love it. But that's just the kind of heel that I like, though. I like the heels that like make me laugh.
Yeah.
And I like the heels that make me cringe because they just went too far.
Yeah, Christian Cage, sends his regards.
And MJF, and like, yes, MJF threw a drink on a kid. It went too far, and I lived for it. If I had a kid and that happened to me and they got upset, I'd be like, this is wrestling. This could happen.
Yeah, this is when you sit close. These are the things you look for.
This is part of the experience.
Like when we were in Pittsburgh and Moxley came out right behind us, your first thought was, "Oh God, I'm going to get wet."
That was you.
Was it?
You were like, "Oh God, please don't throw the water. Don't throw the water." I didn't say anything. That was you.
I just didn't want to get beamed in the face with it.
But
I would have liked having the bottle because I think it's really cool. I don't know if anybody else knows this or anything. I think I saw it on Reddit. But if you're ever in the crowd and Jon Moxley throws the water bottle, try to get it because he autographs his water bottles, which I think is really cool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you didn't know that? I thought I told you that.
I never would have chased after the water bottle. I'd been like, ugh.
No, he autographs them.
I see. My thing was like, he's drinking out of it, germs.
No, usually by the time he throws it, all the water's gone.
After he's already drank out of it.
Yeah, but yeah, if you get the water bottle, he autographs all of them.
I'll let you get that water bottle then.
Well,
I won't touch the germs.
Well, I think the closest chance we had just passed by.
He literally licks blood. You can get Moxley germs. I am good. I am good. But yes, what should we talk about next?
That's a good question.
Oh, we didn't even go into the Outcast yet.
No, we can start with them next.
All right.
Okay, so with the Outcast, one of the issues that I have with the Outcast is I feel, just ignore the cat. One of the issues I have with the Outcast is I feel like that Jamie Hayter's title reign is getting lost in the shuffle with this story. I know you said that you like it because it showcases more women, because we've had like Willow Nightingale come in, Sheeta's back. Love that Sheeta's back. Yeah. We should probably talk about Sheeta's trickery. So Sheeta came out, and the first thing she did was she hugged, I think it was Toni Storm that she hugged. And everybody was like, oh man, Sheeta turned heel, which at first I was like, this came out of nowhere. And then I remembered, oh yeah, they've been telling a story for a little bit before Sheeta left. But it turns out Sheeta swerved everyone and she's still on the side of good.
Because Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter came out.
Yeah. Which is interesting because I actually saw something where AEW hired Will Washington this week from Fightful to do like their continuity and long-term storytelling to help out Tony Khan. And I saw something where somebody said it's really funny that Sheeta came back this week when Will Washington was hired because Will Washington's a major Sheeta fan.
Oh,
so
that's
like,
cool.
I wonder, like, I just want to imagine that he came in and like the first thing he did was Tony Khan was like, welcome to AEW. And he was like, thanks. Where's Hikaru Shida? Get her on the phone now, please. So that was cool. So Sheeta's definitely inserted into here now. I think she definitely fits with the homegrown talent because she was somebody else I didn't know about until she got to AEW. She's my favorite AEW women's wrestler. I love Sheeta. And I got to meet her in person on the cruise, which was great. She's the sweetest person. So I'm glad she's back. But I do feel like that Jamie Hayter isn't really being able to be much of a champion right now.
And I don't know why, because she's the only one that's consistently given good numbers for matches that she's done. Like,
yeah, her matches are usually excellent.
Right?
But
once again, I think they're trying to focus on Britt Baker.
Yeah, they definitely want, you can definitely tell Tony Khan wants to build it all around Britt Baker. You can also tell that from the All Access show because it's essentially, half of it's the Britt Baker show.
And I understand Britt is this like awesome gimmick. Wrestling, she's probably like middle best wrestler. Yeah. I would say. And I know I say much rather have a gimmick than a wrestler, but if you're going to push somebody, they should at least have close talent with their gimmick. Yeah. So,
and I would just hate to see Jamie Hayter's reign end within this story where she hasn't really had time to go out there and just put on the bangers that she can put on.
Right, that she's proven she can.
Yeah, and we need to build up more women to do this. I saw a quote about AEW Collision that I think is going to eat right through you, and I purposely waited to tell you this on air. So apparently, the women aren't getting extra segments with Collision because AEW feels that there's not enough star power in the women to justify adding more time.
Well, it's their own fucking fault.
Right? Like, you make them. You make the stars. And you have one that you're not pushing. Willow gets one of the biggest reactions of the night in the women's division.
Yes.
Everybody loves Willow.
Yeah.
And they should, because Willow's different. She's different. She's fun. She's got a great character. She can go.
She's only different because she's heavier.
No,
I just reason she's different.
No, I don't mean just that. Like, I don't know. She just feels different from the other women.
I'm already anti that Collision show. Anyway, I don't think it's a secret to anybody that I despise CM Punk with a passion. And it's not over just the elite thing. Like, I've never liked CM Punk. Never liked him. So, like, that on top of, so you're on that show that's going to focus on the guy I despise. You're just not going to focus on women. That's just a slap in the face to the women. Like, I don't know. I would be pissed if I was a woman wrestler there. I would be like, but don't you kind of dictate if we're on the show? Don't you dictate how long our matches are? Don't you dictate everything?
The time slot goes in.
We're the reason we're not getting over. No.
Yeah. No, I purposely waited to bring that up on air when
I could say meaner things, but I'm not going to say it on here.
Okay.
I would say really mean things if we weren't on the air.
Okay. I'll get those after we go off the air, I'm sure.
Yes.
It's a good thing I have to go somewhere right after we do this video. Give you a chance to cool
Anytime
down.
you mention CM Punk's not even involved, but I made him involved because he just is such a hot trigger for me. But we'll move on then because I don't want to like light a match. So.
Okay. It works. So House of Black has introduced this type of match called a House Rules match.
So they have their own rules.
Yeah. That's like 20-minute ring out, so you can't run away. I think it's no DQ.
I'm pretty sure it is, yes.
I think, which is interesting because most DQ matches don't have countouts, but okay. It separates it. It's House Rules.
Just let them do their thing. Don't be such a critiquer.
But we're going to get to see what a House Rules match looks like because on Wednesday we're getting the Best Friends and, oh my God, who are they teaming with? It's not Orange Cassidy. It's Bandito.
Oh, yeah.
It's Bandito and the Best Friends against the House of Black for the Trios titles in the House Rules match. So I'm interested to see how the House Rules match looks.
Dude, is Bandito's purpose right now just to kind of fill the empty spot that Danhausen has left?
Maybe, except he's like more known for wrestling than Danhausen is.
That's true.
I think it'd be fun.
Because they're having Bandito do like kind of silly things. But they're kind of a silly faction.
Yeah, they are. They're fun. They're there to pop the crowd and have fun.
They are.
And they serve their purpose because I absolutely love the Best Friends.
Yes.
I get a lot of joy from the Best Friends.
And they get to choose their own stipulations as well. So both teams get to pick stipulations for the match, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, it is neat. I'm interested to see it play out. And Julia Hart, of course, presented. Julia Hart's getting a match on Dynamite this week with Anna Jay. So we're actually getting a story on Dynamite that's not the Outcast and not Jade.
And it's
just no DQ. It's a no DQ.
Okay. Well, anyway. I am nervous for this match because Anna Jay's not that great of a wrestler. She had a house show a couple months ago where it was so bad they just kind of erased it from existence.
It was her and Britt Baker.
Britt Baker again. Well, maybe it wasn't even Anna Jay, honestly. I could see that being on Britt Baker because her pace is so much slower than the other women. So I just don't think I want to be a female wrestler with AEW. I'm going to be completely honest. I would say fuck you and go. I try to go on like Impact.
If I was a female wrestler, I think my goal would be NXT.
I think I would go to Impact because I wouldn't want to chance Vince ever being around me.
Fair enough.
So I would just, until that mofo is dead, then I would go.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, but we can move on. So that'll be fun. I'm interested to see what the House Rules match looks like. Blackpool Combat Club and Elite. We're getting a cage match this week with Moxley and Kenny. We've already talked about it. There's going to be blood transfusions, I'm sure. I think Bryan Danielson is at the best level that he's maybe ever been.
I really liked him as the People's Champion.
The Planet's Champion. Yeah, his Planet's Champion heel run in WWE is extremely underrated.
If he could be not in the PG era and have that, I think it would have been even better.
But I like where he's going with this now. Like, they have essentially said they're not bullies. They're just trying to make everyone better. Like, they want AEW to be the best wrestling company in the world and have the best wrestlers in it, which makes sense. I love that because this is a good heel dynamic because they want something that is not a bad thing. They just go about it by nefarious means.
Right. And I mean, they're damn good wrestlers in that. So if I honestly would feel like the weakest link would honestly probably be Moxley. But that's just because he bleeds too much for me. But I feel like his thing is kind of relying on blood most. But I mean, I don't dislike his wrestling though. He's just probably my least favorite out of the four of them. But my point is they're all excellent wrestlers. Like, I think Bryan Danielson is like one of the best wrestlers. So like, Yeah.
I think they all kind of serve their own purpose. So
Yeah.
Bryan Danielson will break your bones. Claudio will hit you so hard you won't be able to see straight. Wheeler Yuta is just young and hungry and kind of savage.
He is now.
And
yes.
Moxley is, you need to die.
He will murder
You are in the
you.
way and you need to die.
But Bryan Danielson has been wanting to kill people with screwdrivers here lately.
This is true. This is very true. This is very true. I kind of wonder if this is how Blackpool Combat Club was supposed to be in the beginning, and then they got over, so they were babyface for a little bit.
Maybe.
So I wonder if this is kind of, because it kind of feels like we've gone back to where it started with Danielson coming back. But I like what they're doing. I think the Elite is a great feud to do with them, especially because a lot of people like to say that the Elite isn't real wrestling. It's just Cirque du Soleil. So I feel like BCC is a great group to put up against them, who's like pure wrestling mindset.
I kind of feel like the Blackpool Combat Club has had a storyline going ever since William Regal left, and that's why they are the way they are. Because it literally broke them when William Regal turned on them.
Yeah.
That's how I took this heel turn. I didn't think of it coming out of nowhere. And then, because whenever Bryan Danielson said, I'm going home, I'm going to my family after his MJF match, he came back with his family is how I took it.
Okay.
Maybe I didn't take it the right, maybe I was
okay, so when he said, I need to go home, you didn't take it as going home to like Bree and Birdie. You took it as going home to the Blackpool Combat
Like at the
Club.
time I did, but then when he came back and he was like, with them full force, that's how I was like, maybe he did mean the Blackpool Combat Club, or maybe I'm just reading too much into it.
I don't know.
But in my head, this has been like a long-term story with them turning this intense ever since they got turned on.
Yeah.
By William Regal.
True.
Maybe this is not how it's supposed to go. Maybe I just made the story up in my head, but that's how I've been taking this whole time.
Yeah. And I mean, I like it. I like guys that like take wrestling so seriously. I think that's why I like Imperium so much. Because they're the same way.
As long as it's not real life. If you take wrestling that seriously and like real life, you're too intense for me. Like, because those are typically the fans that are like, your opinion's stupid, or like, how can you even do this? They're ruining it. And we've even had somebody comment on this thing, which I just got rid of. We have no time for hatred. But somebody commented on our page and was like, you guys are fake fans. Just stop this. It's an embarrassment. And it's like, okay, you're the reason that fans are called fickle.
Yeah.
You're the asshole that made it this way. So like,
we just watch
you keep having your opinion now.
Yeah, we just watch it to have fun. Like,
right? It brought us out of a dark place, and it brings us joy. And if we want to spread our joy, get the fuck over it.
Yeah, essentially. Now I just have in my head that I want to see the Blackpool Combat Club and Imperium have like a pure wrestling conference.
Well, that would mean John Mox would have to go back to WWE.
Or
I don't think that's
Imperium
happening.
can come over.
Well, let's move on to Mark Briscoe and his friends.
Hatred toward Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett in a lot of capacities. Just, I don't understand. I get that they're around a lot. They've been around the tag title scene for a really long time. I think they need to move on to something else. But I mean, there's not really anything else for them to move on to. But watch the segment this week with those guys at the Briscoe Chicken Farm.
It was so funny. It
is. And Mark Briscoe. I'm really becoming a fan of Mark Briscoe. I did not know much about the Briscoes. Like I said during our when we were talking about when Jay Briscoe passed away, you know, I wasn't too familiar with the Briscoes, but I've really become a fan of Mark. And for me, he's must-see TV for me at this point. If Mark Briscoe's on my TV, I stop what I'm doing and I want to see what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he's just like the way he says things. He's funny. I love his style of wrestling with his redneck kung fu and his finisher. I think they call it the froggy bow or something like that. Like, I've really become a fan of Mark Briscoe, and I want to see him do great things, and not just because of what happened with his brother. I want to see him do great things because I think he's great at what he does.
I mean, he was already doing great things.
Yeah, but I mean, great things were with a bigger audience, I should say, where more people have eyes on him.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we're not going to sum up that segment. Just go watch it. It's fun. And apparently there's even an extended cut floating around the internet somewhere. So I'm hoping to find that soon. But yeah, so we're still doing kind of FTR and Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal kind of playing tug of war with Mark Briscoe.
Ultimately, it's going to be, is Mark going to be a heel or a face? Is what it's just going to come down to, I feel like.
It is. Because they challenged FTR to a tag title match, Double or Nothing. And Mark Briscoe is probably going to be at ringside, and we're probably going to figure out what side he's truly on. I don't want him to, but I kind of feel like he might turn on FTR. Because FTR is not really making the effort that the other faction is.
So many people in it already.
They do. They do.
It's becoming like a Jericho Appreciation Society.
Yeah, but you could, essentially, I keep saying they need to move on to something else. You could take Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and Mark Briscoe and have them chase the trios titles.
Yeah. You
could do that. Because Sanjay Dutt and Satnam Singh aren't really in a position to do that.
Yeah.
Satnam Singh is. They use Satnam Singh sparingly, which I like. Because then you end up in a situation where, like in WWE, where we get just Omos squashes week after week after week.
Yeah.
With Satnam Singh, we had a couple of those, and now it's just kind of known that Satnam Singh's a threat.
Yeah.
And I love that one of Dynamite's, in their opening montages, I love that one of those is Danhausen like looking over while he's standing in front of Satnam Singh.
Yes.
And you know, as two people that have met Satnam Singh in person, that dude's a force.
He is. He's so friendly. Like
he's a big teddy bear.
We met him on the cruise, and we just looked at him, and he just walked over to us smiling.
Yeah, because
I don't even think we initiated anything. He just looked at us, smiled, and walked over to us.
Yeah, we were just playing shuffleboard.
I mean, granted, I was probably doing embarrassingly wrong, but yes.
I don't even think we were playing by the rules correctly anyway. So this Swerve Keith Lee business. So I feel like. Oh man, I feel like we've been going at this a long time.
I like that Dustin Rhodes is involved because it gets him something to do, and it's like his last rodeo or whatever the heck he's calling
his last ride.
Right. Yes.
But I feel like we should do Swerve and Keith Lee at Double or Nothing, and then I think these two need to go their separate ways.
I don't know if they ever really got that final match though, because
they haven't gone one-on-one.
So I feel like something happened and Tony Khan could not get over this storyline he wanted. So it's just finally him ending it, I feel like. What
I would do, and I know this contradicts what I said earlier in the video, but I'm allowed to do that. It's my video. But I think Swerve and Keith Lee, once they go separate ways, I think Swerve should go take the All-Atlantic title off Orange Cassidy if he still has it. I don't think he will. I think Daniel Garcia is going to win it this week.
I kind of feel like Swerve has kind of been forgotten about because he is so amazing, and I don't want people to forget how amazing he is as a wrestler.
Yeah, and I still think Swerve would make a fantastic heel champion, but you're not going to be able to do that till MJF gets rid of the title.
Yeah,
and he's going to have that for probably a year. So I'm ready for that to be done. I like Keith Lee and I like Swerve, but I'm ready for them to go their separate ways. The Lucha Brothers and Hijo del Vikingo, they had a match with Powerhouse Hobbs, QT Marshall, and Aaron Sola. Thank you. And if anybody knows in the comments, can you let us know what the name of the girl is at ringside with QT Marshall? All we know is she's Harley something.
Yeah.
So this kind of feels like this might be, they're kind of building up to maybe challenge House of Black for the Trios title on either side. I get the feeling Tony Khan doesn't know what to do with Powerhouse Hobbs.
No, he's this big dude. He doesn't know what to do with big guys.
He doesn't. He really doesn't.
But I mean, it makes sense because look who kind of created AEW. They're all smaller guys.
That's true.
So
I didn't even think about that, but you're right.
Fucking
you're right. Yeah. And Tony Khan's a small guy too.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of energy, but he's a small guy. Oh, let's see. And then we had a Battle Royal.
The Tres de Mayo.
Tres de Mayo Battle Royal, which was won by the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass.
Yes.
Which was fun. I think they're probably
the final
in line.
6 were, I wrote them down.
Oh, okay.
If I can find them in my notes here.
Okay.
So the final 6 were Anthony Bowens, Daddy Ass, Billy Gunn, John Silver.
Whoa, wait. Daddy Ass and Billy Gunn are the same person.
Oh, Daddy Ass, Billy Gunn. Oh.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay, I see what you did there.
Do you want to read them?
No, go ahead.
All right. Anthony Bowens, Daddy Ass, John Silver, Kip Sabian, Butcher Blade, and then, like you said, Bowens and the Acclaimed win.
Yeah. I really want us to do something with the Dark Order.
Right.
I really want the Dark Order to do something. Because I love the Dark Order. I've seen where some people say that, the pop that they get is just a Brody Lee tribute pop, and I think they're better than that.
I don't agree with that because how many times have they done a match where they get this is awesome?
Yeah.
So you can't take away their shine because you don't think they deserve it.
Their trios match All Out with Silver, Reynolds, and Page against Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks at the All Out where shit hit the fan. Yeah. That match was great.
Right. So don't take their thunder away just because you don't like them.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're getting this is awesome chance. Don't be an asshole and take it away.
Do you think, we haven't seen him for a couple weeks, do you think Hangman Page comes back this week? With something to do with the Kenny Omega John Moxley match?
Maybe. I don't know, because I don't know. I have no clue where they're going with this one.
Yeah.
Not a fucking clue.
I don't know either. And the last thing that happened on Rampage that I want to talk about was the Firm had their deletion match, which was fun, but I have two major gripes with the deletion match. Gripe number one, they did picture-in-picture with this match, which for a cinematic match makes no sense.
Well, even that, it got worse. They took away the picture-in-picture. It was just
Yeah, the picture-in-picture fell off after a bit.
Yeah.
So that's not good.
But in this deletion match, though, we did have the Firm. So we had Ethan Page, Big Bill, and Stokely Hathaway.
Lee Moriarty.
Oh, Lee Moriarty. I forgot about him. Versus the Hardys. So Matt and Jeff Hardy, Hook, and Isaiah Cassidy. So I don't think you mentioned that before.
No, I didn't. That was who was in the match.
Yes.
I saw during picture-in-picture, Stokely should never be on picture-in-picture. Stokely should always be heard, always be seen, because he's fantastic.
Stokely's scenes are probably my favorite of this whole match.
I would agree.
Because his scenes are more... So, Matt Hardy's children, King Maxwell and Wolfie, were in this little kid's, like, Jeep vehicle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Barely... Stokely Hathaway just starts screaming. He's frozen in place as King Maxwell and Wolfie are coming in this really slow-moving kid car coming at him. He screams. I mean, this went for like 30 seconds, I feel like. And then he, like, ducks and runs. And Excalibur's like, oh, that was a close one.
Yeah.
Like, and then also at some point, like, Maxwell was in the ring beating up Stokely Hathaway. And then Rebby, which is Matt Hardy's wife, stops Maxwell, and she's like, Maxwell, you did good. It's bedtime. So they just leave Stokely.
They just left Stokely in the ring.
Yeah. So, like, he just gets annihilated by these children. It's the funniest thing to me.
Yeah. But my other biggest gripe with the match was, I love Excalibur. Excalibur should not have been commentating the Ultimate Deletion match. That should have been just a cinematic match that was just there. Didn't need commentary. Sure as hell didn't need commercials.
It did seem very awkward.
Yeah, I hope that AEW uploads an uncut version on YouTube with the commentary taken out, because I would like to go back and watch it without commentary and without the fucking ads in my face all the time.
I will say that this was about 20 minutes of absolute amazing things, though. Like, overall, it was still an amazing thing to watch, because we had Vanguard return, we had
Senor Benjamin,
yes, we had like everybody that was typically in like the Hardy compound, like they were there. It was just this really fun match. They had Isaiah Cassidy at one point in time, had he defeated, because literally Ethan Page was lighting the Hardys on fire, or
he was going to light them on fire, yeah,
and it stopped by literally Isaiah Cassidy orgasming?
No, he was like, you know how like whenever you throw him and you hear him scream? He was doing that scream.
Oh my gosh.
That was like his calling.
Well, I heard Matt Hardy it was simply orgasmic, and he made those noises again, and I was like, is he like having an orgasm? Like, is that what's happening?
And then Matt Hardy was like, "Brother Zay, I'm glad you came." And Isaiah was like, "I always do."
That's why I thought he was like, but whatever.
No, it was just 12-year-old humor.
And then like it was just fun though. Like they were just throwing each other into trees. Like it was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
They start out like they literally like the Hardy compound guys come after the Firm with firecrackers, acting like they're guns, like going off at them. Like,
yeah, it was Roman candles. They were shooting at them. Yeah.
So it was just fun shenanigans, ridiculous. I loved it.
It was. I always love when Matt Hardy goes outside the box.
Yes.
I think his mind is borderline too much for wrestling sometimes, but when he hits it good.
Kind of like a
he's like a more reined in Bray Wyatt.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that, kind of like a Bray Wyatt in a way.
And his
Bray
stories,
Wyatt's genius. It just doesn't always go over well.
It doesn't translate to wrestling.
Yeah.
That's the issue with Bray Wyatt. Is it just doesn't translate to wrestling.
Yes.
I think he's insanely creative.
A genius, yes.
Insanely creative. I just don't know that wrestling is his vehicle.
Yes.
But no, that was the week in wrestling. Overall,
our
pretty fun
recap.
week.
Yeah.
My show of the week, honestly, this week is SmackDown, and it's not because of the quality of the show; it was the quality of the crowd. SmackDown for me flew by, and that crowd was invested from 8 to 10 p.m.
Mine would be Rampage, just because I loved the deletion match.
Yeah. Like I said,
loved it.
I think I would like it more if I could watch it without the ads, without Excalibur's commentary.
So we really only missed, without seeing it, like 10 seconds.
No, it was more like a minute and some. Because, like, the ads...
I don't mean once they took picture-in-picture away.
Oh, yeah. Once they took picture-in-picture away,
like
we
10
missed...
seconds.
No,
So
it wasn't. There was, like, 3 commercials that happened that not in picture-in-picture.
Okay, so, like, 30 seconds.
A minute and a half.
A minute and a half is the whole commercial time, dear. That's why Excalibur says 90 seconds of picture-in-picture.
He didn't say 90 seconds that time. Remember, I sat there with my phone and timed it one time. When he says 90 seconds, it's 90 seconds. When he doesn't, it goes into 3 or 4 minutes.
Okay, well, whatever. I don't think it was as long as you're saying. But it was, I didn't think it had that bad of effect on it.
Like I said, I want to go back and rewatch it without those extra things. And I saw somebody suggest on the live thread, and I 100% agree with this, I need a behind the scenes of the Ultimate Deletion match on Ethan Page's vlog. I need Ethan Page to cap the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to do it for this week. So we'll be back this evening for our live watch of Backlash from Puerto Rico, where we'll give our predictions then. And then we'll return for our weekly wrestling recap next Saturday. WWE will start its new rosters with the draft, so we'll see how those stories play out there. AEW is on their road to Double or Nothing, so we'll see, what gets added to that. Hopefully a Jamie Hayter title defense is mentioned or made mention of. But as always, like, subscribe, comment, let us know what you think about what's going on in wrestling. Otherwise, we will talk to you guys tonight at Backlash and then next Saturday for weekly wrestling recap.
Yes. Later.
Did you like that video? Like, subscribe, and comment to the Figures and Flippy Shit Wrestling Podcast. Oh, yeah.